Welcome everyone to a preview for the 2021 Cheltenham Festival supporting WellChild. That sounds surreal. It sounds awesome. WellChild, a charity so close to my heart. We're going to speak to its newest ambassador in a moment. We'll also preview the festival with some guests as well. But let's start by finding out more about this awesome charity. The work that WellChild does is truly inspirational. And its newest ambassador is a certain Sir Anthony McCoy, the legend, the 20-time champion jockey. And I spoke to him earlier and started by asking him what he thought about WellChild.
Long before the announcement of the Cheltenham Gold Cup, having been to a lot of your golf days and seen the great work and listened to the people talk about the great work that WellChild does, I've always been very touched by it. Look, anything that can help a kid's life or make their lives better, or in some way, if racing or people in racing can help make their lives better, then it's a great thing. And just when the Cheltenham Gold Cup thing came up, I suppose it sort of was the right thing in a way, but not just because of the Cheltenham Gold Cup, as I said, because I'd seen the work that you've been obviously an ambassador for a long time, and seen the work that they do, and the people that support it. It's just a great charity and a very, very worthy cause, and something that I'm very proud to have been asked to do.
And AP, the WellChild Cheltenham Gold Cup is a race you've been lucky enough to win a couple of times. For nurses, WellChild families, sponsors watching this, just sum up how big a race it is in your eyes.
It's very difficult to explain the enormity of the Cheltenham Gold Cup. When I was lucky enough to win it when I was 22 in 1997 and Mr. Mulligan, I couldn't believe I was after winning the Champion Hurl 2 days earlier. I couldn't believe the atmosphere, the noise, and I suppose I didn't really appreciate it at the time because I thought I was 22 and I thought I was going to win the Gold Cup every year. And it wasn't until many years later when I realised how difficult it actually was to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup. When Synchronise won it, it was the best. It was my greatest feeling, greatest day. It was the day that I felt that I delivered probably more than any other on a racehorse. I've been lucky enough to, without sounding egotistical, but I'm lucky enough to win Sports Personality of the Years and Grand Nationals. But when Synchronise won the Cheltenham Gold Cup, I don't think I've had a more happier day that give me all the fulfillment that I wanted from a horse race. So so the WellChild Cheltenham Gold Cup is something that I think is the best horse race there is.
Just finally then, AP, there's a horse in the race named after you, Champ. Can he do it? And how much would you enjoy it if he did?
Well, that was what I was kind of trying to get at. Nico de Bonville was very lucky to win it before and can agree. So I'll do all the cheering for him. So it'll be like he's got his own audience, if you like. So it would be very special. He's a horse that I know that I, obviously the JP bought, that I had rode as a young horse. He had no name, whatever, and he got this name stuck on him because a few of the lads in the area used to call me Champ. And he's got the pedigree. He's out of a half sister, the best made by King's Theatre. He's really well bred. He has lived up to all the expectations, which a lot of horses never do, and he's really lived it up. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's lived up to his name. But if he could win the Cheltenham Gold Cup, then that would be it would be the greatest thrill that I've had, having not been on the back of a horse. I think in terms of watching a horse race, I think him winning the Cheltenham Gold Cup would be, it wouldn't be quite like riding him, but it'll be the next best thing. So I'll be a loud enough audience. Don't you worry about that if he wins.
And with me now are three people who have not won Sports Personality of the Year, have not won the Grand National. But Michael Shinners there was fifth, I think, in his primary school dash. And all three are huge supporters of WellChild. Michael's putted out of bunkers on the golf day. Bruce Millington, I think, has finished down the field. And Richard Hoyles has been part, alongside Bruce, of many of a festival focus for WellChild in Cheltenham. And Bruce, I don't know about you, but it feels a bit surreal for me to hear the words, the WellChild Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Absolutely fantastic, isn't it? I mean, of all the stories that really brought a smile to my face in recent weeks, that one really is fantastic, because obviously we've been involved in WellChild for a few years and we know what a fantastic charity they are. We also know how much they've struggled in the last 12 months, like obviously so many in the sector. But hopefully this will be a fantastic shot in the arm. I think it's great that the Jockey Club have done this. I'm sure a certain Ed Chamberlin was involved somewhere along the line, so well done you. But I just think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's a really, really great story.
So the plan tonight is going to be short and sharp, this, folks. So what I need from you, my first question is going to be your wish for the week, the headline maker, what you'd like to see happen over the 4 days at the Cheltenham Festival. Then we're going to do each day with your big race winner, and then I'll come round again with your tip of the day. Okay, Richard Hoyles, you're going to bat first. What's your wish for the Cheltenham Festival supporting WellChild 2021?
My wish actually is that the WellChild Cheltenham Gold Cup is won by Native River. It's my heart over my head, but I think he's a real tough horse who wears his heart on his sleeve, goes out in front and epitomises everything that is good about national hunt racing. Honest, great jumper, been around for years. So 1 out of 3, like myself. And I'm hoping that Native River can roll back the clock. I'm worried about the drying ground and I won't actually select him. But if you ask me for a wish, that's what it would be. The WellChild Gold Cup at Cheltenham is won by Native River.
That would be heartwarming for sure. Michael Shinners, your wish for the week.
Well, Ed, I'm far more selfish than Richard, and mine isn't heartwarming. It's all about me. Everybody has a anti-post portfolio that they wish they'd never started on, but everyone has one horse that they absolutely think could get them right out of it. So my wish, Ed Chamberlin, is that Sir Gerhard wins the champion bumper this year for Cheveley Park. So I will be cheering on that horse like you've never seen anyone cheer on a horse before in a little room in Leeds.
I'll be off air and heading back to the team hotel at that point. Bruce, your wish.
Well, we can't sugarcoat what's been happening in recent weeks. It's been a very controversial lead up to Cheltenham, but let's hope that gets put behind us, Ed, and that we're not constantly having to refer to it. There's some fantastic potential stories, both in terms of great jockeys, the connections and the horses themselves. So let's hope the sport itself gets a chance to shine.
Well said. I think my wish would be there's a danger this Cheltenham that Willie Mullins might absolutely steamroller things. I'd like to see the love shared. I'd like to see some of the smaller operations win some of the bigger races. There's a horse called Bear Gills that runs on Wednesday, would be a prime example. I'd love to see Paisley Park win for Andrew Gemmell, who's been blind since birth. That would just be fabulous. It's going to be strange presenting at Cheltenham and Richard commentating at Cheltenham with absolutely no one there, but there's going to be WellChild branding like you wouldn't believe. So it's going to look great. Day one, team. Are we ready? Michael Shinners, you're batting first on this. Let's talk about the Unibet Champion Hurdle. How do you see it playing out? And who do you think will go off favourite with Sky Bet?
Well, Honeysuckle at the moment heads the market, Ed. She is clearly a very, very talented horse across the Irish Sea. I think that I think Epitome will go off favourite because I think that Honeysuckle possibly needs softer ground than she may get. The weather forecast is I think it's a little bit in and out until the last couple of days in the lead up to the festival where it's going to be dry. And I think Epitante will go off favourites. I also think she will win the race because I think she has the most talent. I think that although Honeysuckle is brilliant, I think she might need the ground softer. I think Goshen might need the ground softer, and it's possibly better going the other way around. And then the rest of them, I think, are playing for places. So for me, it is Epitante.
Richard.
Take a few of those. Epitante, yeah, if she turns up like she did 12 months ago, but which one do you get? Do you get the one that won the Champion Hurdle last year, or the one that fluffed the lines in the Mares Hurdle 2 years ago and who was beaten at the Christmas Hurdle? So, yeah, I think she'll go off favourite as well, but I'm not convinced that it represents a great deal of value. Honeysuckle, love to see her win. Rachel Blackmore would obviously be a really, really good story with Honeysuckle. And Goshen, I think he goes that way round, Michael. He was well clear in the Triumph when he came down last year. It was a bit harsh, but I'm not sure the form is great, and I don't know whether the old course will suit as well as the new course, which is more galloping in nature and suits his style. So I'll go Sharjah for the Champion Hurdle. Fast run, 2 miles, good ground. Came there to win last year. If Epitante doesn't last up the hill, maybe Sharjah would. And there's an each way sort of price around about 16 to 1.
Bruce.
First of all, I think the lad's been a bit presumptive about the ground. I'm seeing plenty of rain in the forecast. I think the water table's pretty high. Don't forget they haven't raced this year because they've had so much rain. Obviously, it does dry out, but I wouldn't assume anything as far as the ground goes. I obviously hope that the £7 mare's allowance doesn't affect this, but I think Goshen's the bet of the week. I think he's absolutely different class. He would have obliterated what's turning out to be a half-decent Triumph field last year. The run at Wincanton was absolutely superb. We're into this phase now, Ed, where everyone nitpicks and everyone tries to pick, it all fell apart and the pace wasn't great and the others didn't do their run. How do we know that? I thought it was a fantastic performance. He absolutely smashed them, and I think he's going to win this one.
Bruce, I've got a question from our viewer. Do you have any pictures up in your house at all, or do you keep the walls blank?
No, we do. This is the office, which is currently undergoing a bit of a makeover. We're in between. I've just taken the Rembrandt down from there, and we've got the Hockney going up next week.
I think Michael's doing similar. There are renovations at Shea Shinner's, aren't there, as well?
There certainly is, Ed, and it's safe to say that none of the books behind me have anything to do with me. The last book I read was Anton Deck's autobiography.
I, in the Champion Hurdle, agree with you, V. Goshen. I'd love to see him win. I'd love to see, after Sir Anthony McCoy, you might remember him with his arm round Jamie Moore, walking to the weighing room. He can't do that this year, obviously, but he could fist pump him in very different circumstances. I think that would be very emotive. I do think Silver Streak will run well at a decent price. So that will have confused everybody about the Champion Hurdle. We're doing 5 minutes a day, so same batting order. Richard, you go first. What's your tip of day one?
Roxana in the Mares Hurdle. The Mares Hurdle, most of the chief protagonists either won't be there or have gone for different races, like Honeysuckle in the Champion Hurdle, Benny Didier not turning up. Roxana's taken her form to a different level this year, and sensibly, I think they're going to duck the stayers because she wouldn't beat Paisley Park and she wouldn't beat Time Hill, but she will beat the horses that turn up against her in the Mares.
Tip of the day, Michael?
Quite embarrassing, really, Ed. I've got an absolute good thing at 14 to 1, which the bookmakers don't seem to have found yet. It's in the Ultima, and I am going for I Wright, who was second in the Ladbroke. That form has been boosted. Ran very well in the Sky Bet Chase, where the jockey unfortunately dropped the whip. It doesn't probably fit the profile in terms of it's normally an up-and-coming novice, but this is a hard-knocking Northern handicapper, and I think he will win.
I'd love it to win for the owners who drove all the way down to Newbury for the Ladbrokes Trophy and were allowed to stay, Richard, for what, 40 minutes, I think was the rule at the time. got chinned and had to drive all the way back to Scotland. So it would be a very popular win if I Wright could win the Ultimate, the big handicap on day one. Bruce, what's your nap of the day?
Certainly agree with Richard about Roxana. I just don't think the market's reacted properly to that. I think she's just going to be better than Concertista, but I think Goshen's the better day one.
Goshen for you. Now, Michael, I'm going for an absolute Hail Mary in the Sky Bet sponsored Supreme, a horse called Grumpy Charlie, which I see you're much shorter than other firms. In fact, you're high, you can get 50s. And hopefully some firms will pay, they'll pay sort of 7 and 8 places, might they possibly, for the first race on day one.
I would have thought so. Do you want to explain Grumpy Charlie?
Grumpy Charlie's won 3 times, very unfashionable, won 3 times at Chepstow's, rated in the mid 140s, I think, 143. And I don't think it's a very good Supreme. And that might be good enough, or should be good enough, hopefully, to see him get into the top 5 or 6, rewarding an each-way play at 50-1. I'd rather back him than appreciate it at a short price.
I've been trying to find a big price one there, Ed, in vain, so I'll row in with you. I thought if Micromanage ran for Mullins, because don't forget with Mullins that he wins a lot of these races with not his best hope at big prices. So, but yeah, I'll smash that one up as well, Ed, because I don't think the ones at the top of that market are great.
I think we need to get on early though, Bruce, because there's probably some Charlies around the country, or parents with grumpy Charlies that will be having a fun wager. Michael.
I was going to say, the other thing I was thinking was, I wonder who's told you that one, Ed, because there's no way in a million years you picked that one out.
The form book, Michael. The form book. I'm going down the camera. Okay. The form book, Michael. My ratings. Right, day 2, moving swiftly on. Let's start with Bruce this time. And the feature race on day 2, we're going to have 2 feature races on day 3, but just one feature is the Queen Mother Champion Chase, which I think is fascinating. Who wins it?
I've been trying to get away from Chacun Pour Soi, Ed, but I just can't. I can't even say why I want to oppose him. I just think he'd probably end up winning it. But it's a race but of all the big races, it's the one that I've got least strong view on and the least appetite to get involved in from a bet. I think the favourite's probably going to win. Do
you not think, though, he's almost priced up as if he's won 2 Queen Mother Champion Chases already, and he's not even got there?
No, I agree with that, and that's partly it. But then, who am I going to oppose? I just can't find one that is in good enough form or is progressive enough to beat him. So, I mean, I'll tell you what I'll do. You may remember, and this is a chance for me to boast, but last year when I was sitting in slightly more luxurious surroundings for the WellChild preview, I did put the kettle on for the Arkle at 20s. I might back her each way without the favourite at a big price.
Which is why you're back this year by popular demand, Bruce Millington. Both the people that remember insisted you were back on. Richard, have you done one out here?
It was nice of Bruce and his mum to make sure we all knew that, wasn't it? So, look, I'm very similar hymn sheet to Bruce. We always say Cheltenham Festival form is crucial. And of course, Chacun Pour Soi has never rocked up there. But everything else has fallen by the wayside. Defi de Soy is not going to be there. Altior is on a recovery mission these days with chip pieces on. It's never a good thing to be going into that. So no, I think Chacun Pour Soi, it wouldn't be a horse I would be excited about backing. But if you ask me the most likely winner, then sadly, I think that is the case. And I do think you're playing for the places behind Chacun Pour Soi.
Michael?
With my Kevin Keegan head on, Ed, I would love it if Score Royale turned them all over. However, I think that's unlikely. I think on good ground, I think Rouge Vif will run much better than his current price of around about 25-1. But I think Chacun Pour Soi, he's been a real talking horse for the Rich Richie team for a number of years now, and it looks like he's got his act together. He's around about even money. I think he'll probably win, but with my Sky Bet hat on, I hope he actually doesn't.
Because of Daryl Jacob and So Royal. Good luck with that. I spoke to Ruby Walsh about Chacun Pour Soi yesterday, and he said he's class, but will he get up the hill? We just do not know. No one knows. And that is the risk you will be taking. Right, bet of the day. Bruce, you go first. Your bet of the day for day 2.
Starting the opener, the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. I don't know why Brave Man's Game isn't favourite. 2 really phenomenally strong, powerful performances. The hill looks absolutely made for him. And I think he's on a progressive profile. I think he's going to win this.
I think I'll agree. We'll come to that in a minute. Richard?
Well, the reason he's not favourite is because he's going to get beaten by Bob Ollinger, who's the best novice I've seen this year. And I like him. He's come a long way in a short space of time. He's very versatile. He's got a good cruising speed. And everybody knows that the shallow winner never wins anything at Cheltenham. So Bob Ollinger to take you 2 on in the same race to get us off to a really exciting start on day 2.
Michael?
3, 4, 5, 6 lengths clear. Sir Gerhard is absolutely putting.
This is a very good horse.
Let's quote prices for every single race next year, Sir Gerhard, by a minute.
I am going to vote with you, Bruce. And Hoyles' voice on commentary on ITV will be distraught as Bob Ollinger comes there swinging. But Brave Man's Game finds more and wins and rips up those stats on the Challow. They get churned out every year. I think Brave Man's Game is very, very good, I must say. So I'm going to go with Brave Man's Game as well. There's a match bet for us, Michael. You might have to price up Millington and Chamberlain against the maestro that is Richard Hoyles. Right, day 3, I'm afraid we've got 2. Michael, you're going in first here. Sorry to give you so much warning, because we've got 2 big races before we get to the best of the day. So I need your Ryanair winner and your Stayers Hurdle winner in one go, please.
Ryanair is, we're talking 5-2 on the field. I'm going to go for St. Calvados. Harry Whittington's team are in much better form, much the best form they've been all season. They've had winners in the build-up to the festival. He ran a fantastic race at the festival last year, and I think that he will win the Ryanair. I think the Stayers Hurdle is ripe for a shock. I think there's reasons why we can take a couple of these on here. I'm looking around. I can't really find anything in particular, but I'm going to say Lisnagar Oscar to do the bookmakers a favour once again.
That's Richard. The 2 big races on Thursday. Will it be a golden hour of some sort?
Well, I'm with Michael. Well, first of all, St. Calvados, for all of the reasons he's mentioned. The yard are going so much better than they were. They tried him over 3 miles, but he doesn't settle at that sort of. He's a bit fresh as well, first up. So he was second in the race 12 months ago. And because his form figures haven't really shone this year, I think he's a little bit overpriced. So I agree with Michael about St. Calvados, and I think Time Hill will win the Stayers. I think it was a nightmare up the hill in the Albert Bartlett last year. Richard Johnson must have felt like in our day a double glazing salesman. He got so many doors slammed in his face. Everywhere he went, he met trouble. And I think he just went for home to compensate a bit early, and Paisley Park was able to run him down. I think he's got the better tactical speed of the 2, Time Hill, and I think this time he'll sit on him a little bit longer, and Paisley Park will finish well but won't get to him.
Bruce.
Why do I do this to myself? I never thought I'd be putting this horse up for the Ryanair. And if you guys
can we try and guess which one? Give us a clue. Give us a clue what it's going to be.
Well, it's the least fashionable horse in this race. But I look at the price and I cannot see why Dashel Drasher is 20-1. Everyone said that race at Ascot was absolutely rubbish. It needs bottomless. It's won at Cheltenham on good ground over hurdles. And I just think at 20-1 in a race where there's so many question marks about the fancied runners, I'm going to take a chance there. It may well be the worst bet I've had all week, but it's 20-1, so you don't really have to have much on to find out. And I trust lovely old Paisley Park to come back to form in the Stayers. Do you want to know why?
Yes.
He won it so well 2 years ago, and it was an incredible performance last time out when he had absolutely no run whatsoever. I just think Emma's got him back to form, and I think he'll win.
I do think Allaho might win the Ryanair, sadly. And I think I'd love Paisley Park to win it, Bruce. I really would, because Andrew Gemmell just resonates way beyond racing. He's fantastic. But they go quick. The Stayers Hurdle is one of those races. It's a unique race that you only get once a year, and it just suits Lisnagar Oscar down to the ground, as we saw last year. And I thought he ran really well last time. So, Michael, I'm with you each way, Lisnagar Oscar in the Stayers Hurdle. Bets of the day? Let's go Richard first. Your bet of day 3 we're on.
Probably St. Calvados, as we already mentioned here. I'm going to just give a casting mention to Mr. Whitaker, who runs in the Brown Advisory Plate at 240. A perennial runner at the festival, and I think he's just been worked down nicely to a mark on which he can at least make the frame again. So a couple to conjure with there.
Bruce?
Paul Nicholls created history a couple of months ago, and he's saying he had a fancy runner in the Potemps. It's normally the race where all the trainers keep their cards very close to their chest, but he gave a big up to Southfield Harvest, who then went and ran a good race last time. So I thought 14-1 in the Potemps, that might be a decent each way bet with plenty of extra places.
Southfield Harvest for you in the Potemps. Michael?
I'll be very careful how I say this. In the Mares Novice Hurdle, I like Hook Up. For the Rich Ritchie team, I think she ran a really good race at the Dublin Racing Festival. There doesn't look an outstanding horse in the Mares Novice Hurdle. Willie Mullins tends to win the race, so Hook Up for me.
I'm going to go with Allaho, rather boringly, in the Ryanair. My least confident of my naps on the 3 days. Gold Cup Day, day 4. So I think we should just major on the WellChild Cheltenham Gold Cup here, unless anyone's got a real fancy for day 4, but it's quite hard at this early stage. Richard Hoyle's Native River, is that with head and heart?
Pretty hard, to be honest. If Bruce is more right about the ground than we are, then that will help. But he's possibly not quite fast enough in the early stages these days to get into that rhythm. But if he does get out there in front, jumping boldly and there's cut in the ground, then he will make sure that everybody feels the full duress of that 3.25 miles. He also could get in the way of Frodon dictating, like Frodon did in the King George. So I think they take each other out of the equation. I'm going to stick with a horse that has become less fashionable as the season's gone on, because my underlying thought as they crossed the line in last year's RSA was that Manila Indo would win this year's Gold Cup. And it was all going swimmingly until he capsized at in Ireland over Christmas. And then his comeback run was less than enhancing as well. But as a result, he's drifted out. I think it's open, and I will stick with Manila Indo, reduce the stakes. Now he's a bigger price.
And tell me something, Album Photo, who incredibly trying to do what Best Mate did and win 3 Gold Cups, and just isn't getting any attention whatsoever. I hardly read anything about him. Will you have a line prepared for if Album Photo wins a 3rd Gold Cup?
No, not a specific line. I think the 3rd Gold Cup or something along those lines, or emulating Best Mate or a few others, will probably cross into your focus. I mean, he hasn't really attracted as much attention probably as a dual Gold Cup winner deserves, because we just don't see him very often. He's Album Photo. There's not many pictures in the album, but the ones that are very good.
That gives you a clue to how we're starting Friday's show on ITV. Michael Shinners, what sort of price do you think Album Photo will be, and who is your selection?
Well, he's around about 11-4 now. I think he'll probably start around about 5-2, 3-1. I suggest that as he goes past the line, if he wins, Richard Hoyle goes boom, boom, boom. Let me hear you say Album Photo.
Better, much better.
Thank you. I think he'll go off around about that price. Look, he's not talked about. He has the same preparation, Tremor. Although as a compiler who I used to work with called it, he obviously thought it was an Italian racecourse because he called it Tremore, but Tremor, and that is true, I'm afraid. But I think he is. I just think that there are. Champ ran an excellent race last time at over 2 miles, so so much speed. You've got the likes of Aplutard, Frodon, Kemba, but I just think Album Photo. Look, the price says he's the one to beat, and I think he'll make it. I think he'll make it 3 WellChild Cheltenham Gold Cups. Oh,
that sounds good, Bruce.
I hope not. I must admit, I haven't warmed to this horse at all. I admire him, you have to, but he's so lightly campaigned. We don't want horses doing that and then keep winning. So I'd rather he didn't. He may well do, but Champ has learnt to jump. That run the other day was absolutely brilliant. It was superb. You where that jumping's come from, I don't know. And if you ally that jumping to the pace he's got, then and the power he's got, then he's my idea of the winner. The only thing I would say, and Richard, you touched upon it, I think that this is going to be the most brutal war of attrition, because Native River and Frodon are going to go out. And you've said they might cut each other's throats. I think they might almost team up to whittle away so many of these in behind. And Frodon, I'm starting to think Frodon's an each way bet, but I'm going to stick with Champ, very respectful of Aplutard, and Album Photo will obviously come and beat them all.
Richard, you look like you were going to pick up on something Bruce said.
If you remember the Native River might bite scenario, nothing got into it that year. So yeah, you do. If you give them a start, it can be quite difficult, particularly Native River, because you never get any respite with him. I do think he'll expose Frodon quite a long way from home though, because I don't think Frodon really will stay 3.25 at that sort of pace. My worry for Champ actually is that he doesn't. If you just watch that race in isolation, you wouldn't have picked him as a Gold Cup horse or a horse having a Gold Cup prep. And whether or not you can take the fizz out of him in that shorter space of time, having lit him up, I'm not sure, because he's always been a bit keen. So yeah, it's fascinating. He adds a lot of interest to the race. That run at Newbury was so enjoyable to watch. As Bruce said, he jumped so well that he does add an extra layer, I think, to this year's Gold Cup.
Ed, if you're looking for a lay of the week, the one I really don't like is Royal Pegao. I think if they run it in this, I think he'll get run off his feet. I think there's a world of difference between the conditions at Haydock. A lot of horses can look good in those conditions, and I'd be looking to place Liam if he runs in.
What a gift that could make down the track. I think what Richard, you say about the Gold Cup there sums up the week. It's been such a difficult build-up to the meeting, but there are just really good races this year everywhere you look, starting with the Arkle, which is arguably the race of the week. It's going to be sensational. I'd love, my love it moment, Michael, would be Champ winning the Gold Cup, because I'll be stood next to Sir Anthony McCoy, and this horse means the world to him. And for WellChild's brand new ambassador to win the WellChild Cheltenham Gold Cup would be dreamy. And it's just going to be a surreal experience seeing the finishing line of one of the biggest races in the world. One of my favorite races in the calendar with WellChild written there is just going to be extraordinary. I can't wait. Let's finish by doing our bets of the week for people to follow at home. You've got one bet for the week. Richard, you're going to bat first. What's it going to be?
My bet of the week.
Can I just stop you there? We'll do it as £100 free bet, and the money will go to WellChild. So I don't want to play with your mind, Richard. Don't go as bold as you were going to do.
You knew I was going for an outsider there, Michael. You could see it in my eyes. I was going for the Bruce Millington glory, whack it out the park. But now I'm going to go for Bob Ollinger in the Ballymore.
I want that to win now because of what you've done there, but I was going to go for Brave Man's Game. You put me in two minds. I've got a minute or so to think about it. As Michael, I don't know whether do we put your £100 on? Well, child, how does this work?
Yeah, you can have £133 and 33 pence each. I'll just tell you that my best bet would be Zanahiyr in the Triumph Hurdle.
So, Bruce, come on then. Win some money for WellChild.
Okay, I'm going to go with Shattered Love. Can I have it each way, please, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out what half of £133 and 33 pence is. Yeah, absolutely.
Half. In the 4:15 on the Friday, WellChild, the new race is the Mare's Chase, and I think if you could have created a race with the intention of giving Shattered Love a chance to win at the festival again, that would be the race. I think it's going to suit her fantastic. I think the favourite Ellie May is a bit weak, and I think each way, round about 7-1, Shattered Love is a really good bet.
Perfect. Great shout. Michael, I'll go on the nose. Grumpy Charlie at 50. I better not.
Great banter there. Great banter.
I will try and hopefully guarantee us, Richard, in the Ballymore. If I go for Brave Man's Game, surely we're going to win some nice money for WellChild. You've got Bob Ollinger. I'm going to go Brave Man's Game. I love Brave Man's Game for John Dance. So, Michael, hopefully we'll get a winner in that. That's a really nice touch to try and win some money for WellChild. Thank you. And team, that was a Cheltenham preview in the space of just over 20 minutes. Thank you very much indeed. Have an awesome week. And let's hope everyone from WellChild, the supporters, families, nurses, enjoy the week. It promises to be spectacular.